Ilhan Omar, the very high-profile US Congresswoman from Minnesota, has been bumped off the powerful and prestigious House Committee on Foreign Affairs. The reason? She made some remarks that were interpreted as anti-Israel and therefore anti-Semitic. But you're wondering why this development happening at the other end of the world is a story for us here in India. I'll explain. To begin with, Ilhan Omar is a globally polarizing figure who frequently makes the headlines for strong views on religion, immigration and other hot-button issues. For much of her career, Ilhan Omar has been nothing more than an internet headline to India, which is fair. We have netas with strong views here, so why should we care about a neta with strong views elsewhere? Well, all that actually changed in 2019 when Ilhan Omar began speaking out about Kashmir and the restrictions being imposed there. That was fine, but she specifically expressed concern about religious freedom in Kashmir, which to India confirmed that this was more than just the usual political rhetoric. In April last year, 2022, Ilhan Omar, who has never had a word of criticism for Pakistan, not one single word, visited Pakistan, met with its leaders, glad-handed the Pakistan Army's incumbent puppets, and then proceeded to visit Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. At no point, I repeat, at no point did Ilhan Omar talk of religious freedom in Pakistan or POK. But things were about to get a whole lot worse, because after Ms. Omar returned to the United States after Pakistan, she immediately got busy drafting what would become House Resolution 1196. Presenting this in US Congress in June last year, Ilhan Omar's resolution, and I quote, condemned human rights violations and violations of international religious freedom in India, including those targeting Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Dalits, Adivasis, and other religious and cultural minorities. The resolution also called on the Department of State to designate India as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 and the Frank R. Wolf International Religious Freedom Act of 2016. In other words, 2 months after visiting Pakistan, a country with one of the worst freedom of religion records in the world for minorities, including minority sects of Sunni Islam itself, Ilhan Omar's professional priority was to push a resolution on India's religious freedom, a country with a 15% Muslim population, the third highest in the world. Even if you for a moment believe that her resolution was in some way justifiable, the very fact that Ilhan Omar doesn't have a word for Pakistan's record explains everything. And that's perhaps why there's now a sense of satisfaction by certain sections here in India, even if visceral, that Ilhan Omar has been unceremoniously voted off the House Committee on Foreign Affairs by the Republicans, themselves a party with a rock-bottom credibility right now, but that's a different story. By the time you watch this, Ilhan Omar has played every victim card you can think of. She's played the Muslim card, she's played the woman card, she's played the Muslim woman card, she's played the woman of color card, she's played the immigrant card. There is, of course, a section here in India that applauds Ilhan Omar because her words about India's religious freedom provide that nice international touch to their own toolkitted tirades. But their refusal to question or even talk about Ilhan Omar's visit to and the silence on Pakistan tells you everything you need to know about how artfully so-called Indian liberals cherry-pick even in the act of cheerleading. To conclude, Ilhan Omar being bounced from the House Committee on Foreign Affairs may not sound like much. After all, it's just a committee, right? We have thousands of those. Well, not quite. This committee we're talking about has a broad and influential mandate in the United States to oversee American legislation pertaining to national security's impact on foreign policy, crucial war powers, treaties, executive agreements, military deployments on foreign soil, foreign assistance, arms control, and international economic policy. Ilhan Omar will remain a controversial figure in a deeply polarized world. One only wonders what it'll take for her to speak about all religious freedom and not cherry-pick based on her own internal and political compulsions. So Ilhan Omar is no longer on the House Committee for Foreign Affairs. This was because of comments she'd made about Israel, interpreted as anti-Semitic. Take a look at how it went down. Ilhan Omar, US Congresswoman from Minnesota, known in the subcontinent for her anti-India rhetoric, has just been ousted from a high-profile American Foreign Affairs Committee. The Republicans, who enjoy a slender majority in the US House of Representatives, on Thursday won a bitterly fought vote to drop Ilhan Omar from the panel over her past remarks, widely condemned as anti-Semitic. The deeply divided House voted 218 to 211 along party lines to remove the Democratic Party member from the Foreign Affairs Committee.
On this vote, the ayes are 218, the nays are 211.
Ilhan Omar's political rival cited her 2019 tweet alleging Republican support of Israel was fueled by donations from a pro-Israeli lobby group to push her out. She had later apologized for the tweet that was condemned by her party colleagues as well. Moments before her expulsion, a defiant Ilhan said her voice will only get louder and stronger.
This conflict is a tragedy. Every rocket and bomb that targets civilians is a war crime. And I wish we as a nation treated that pain equally. But right now we are not. And instead of condemning blatant crimes against humanity and human rights abuses, many members of Congress have instead fallen back on a blanketed statement.
The controversial Congresswoman's ouster is viewed by the Democrats as revenge for their voting in 2021 to remove two far-right Republicans.
When you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened.
Today's resolution, as it relates to Representative Omar, details 6 statements she made as a sitting member of Congress that under the totality of the circumstances disqualify her from serving on the Committee on Foreign Affairs.
The House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, however, claimed that her removal was not an act of revenge.
It's not right. We were right in our action, and she can serve on other committees. But it puts America in jeopardy, and I'm not going to do that under my watch. And it's fair in the process, unlike them.
Ilhan Omar has made several controversial comments in the past, even pushing a resolution to designate India a country of concern. She had visited Pakistan-occupied Kashmir in 2022, where she promised to mainstream Pakistan's concerns with India. Indian journalist Aarti Tikku, who was shut down by Ilhan Omar when she raised questions regarding the persecution of Kashmiri Hindus during congressional hearings in 2019, has hailed the ouster.
Finally, the truth has prevailed, and I'm really glad that Republicans have shown her the boot from the US Foreign Affairs Committee. Ilhan Omar is fundamentally a bigot, an Islamist, and a jihadist who stands by Pakistan's cross-border terrorism.
Ilhan Omar, who arrived in the United States as a refugee from Somalia, is the only African-born member of the US Congress and one of the only Muslim women in the House. Bureau Report, India Today.